Hi, I'm Larry Kortkamp, and this is Biz Points TV, the show that introduces you to new and trending business topics, smart technology, and of course the people that make an impact in our small business communities. We've got a great show for you today. We're talking about white hat hackers, black hat hackers, the whole cybersecurity thing, and my guest, you're going to love her. We'll be back in just a minute to get started.
Create a stronger and more dynamic business. Larry Kortkamp, founding partner at the Kortkamp Group, talks with industry insiders about trending topics moving the needle for local business today. Here's your host, Larry Kortkamp.
Hi, and welcome back to Biz Points TV. Like I said in the intro, today my guest, we're in the cybersecurity realm with my guest today. Her name is Jessie Bolton. Jessie is the founder and CEO of Bolt Resources. Jessie, first, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
We're going to open up this weird world of cybersecurity and how exactly you fit within that. We kind of led with the intro into some white hat and some black hat hackers. That's really what the general public thinks of when they see that, because that's how Hollywood has painted it for us. Mm-hmm. But you work in it every day, so we're going to learn a little bit more today about the reality of cybersecurity. And particularly, I'm interested in the need for more people to enter into the cybersecurity industry, into that workforce for that, because we need them desperately.
Right. So I share the same interest. It's more about the people than so much cybersecurity. I'm drenching myself into the content to better know the people I'm serving. So that is the workforce, the cybersecurity workforce, the companies, the leaders who need to build their cybersecurity teams. You can't go into, every day you open up the news, there's a data breach, there's a security breach. And so how can I close that gap? How can I help these companies build their teams and also help the aspiring cybersecurity professional?
Actually, like you said, we all see it every day. Right. I mean, we're inundated with the fact that there are needs for more efforts to place on cybersecurity, and we know that takes people to do that. Is there an estimate as to how many people are needed right today to fill the necessary voids?
It is overwhelming. Last I looked, it was 3.5 million openings for cybersecurity, from analysts to CISO. Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna stop you right here, because we said CISO. You and I in the industry, we know what that means. The general public doesn't always. So, to clarify the situation, what is a CISO?
CISO, Chief Information Security Officer.
So it's like any other CEO, COO. This has to do with someone that is involved in the cybersecurity portion of a business.
Correct.
And what they do.
Yes.
You actually are a very necessary component to this whole equation. We know that the companies are looking for people, right, and we know that people are looking for jobs, and we need to put the two of them together, and that's where Bolt Resources comes in.
Yes, we do, and it's not necessarily an easy task. There are a lot of folks who, I get calls every week with candidates or professionals asking, how do I transition my career and get into cyber? And the companies are asking me, where are these guys? Find us. The average job opening for cybersecurity, to find the right fit, the unicorn, is 6 months to place that and fill that role. So how does Bolt close that gap? We welcome anyone who is trying to figure out if cybersecurity is for them. We provide self-assessments, career mapping. We open up the gateway. We provide the resource platform through our partners and affiliations that we're building with nonprofits who have what I don't have, which is the test already made. We are providing them some self-assessments, but also avenues, events, conferences, all the secret spots to help build your network, and we're coaching them through the process, really.
So listening, it doesn't sound to me like doesn't sound like you need to be the IT super geek in order to get into this industry. Is that accurate?
Right. There are a lot of misconceptions that you have to have an IT background, but that is not necessarily the case. If you know, Hollywood has painted a cool picture, and I think it's pretty cool. Cybersecurity alone, you're getting the bad guys, but there is more to it than that. So no, it has a lot to do with what your natural capabilities are, your talents are, your attributes are. Are you analytical? Are you a problem solver? If you like solving problems, cybersecurity is for you. It's just a matter of navigating through that, and we help pave the way in front of you.
So as a person, I'm not in cybersecurity. I really don't know a lot about it, but I think it's really it sounds cool to me. Can I figure out if this is a true thing that I'm good at, or that I have maybe an attribute for, or?
Yes, so Bolt Resources, that's what you do. You call us, and we say, okay, let's start with a self-assessment. I love getting to know my people, the people I work with, and I will help take them from what do I do to the job. So from self-assessment, career mapping, mentoring, internships, other little secret things. Yes, I will help them do that. And so
how do these, obviously on the other side of the equation, I mean, I'm an applicant, I really want to get into it, but the other side of reality is that these companies are looking for, obviously, the highest end geek they can find, and somebody who's going to fit this particular picture. Do they work with you? How do the companies fit into this equation? They obviously know this is a difficult match, that's why it takes so long to find it. Are they helping you to find these people?
So there's other avenues, just that, so the recruiting process altogether, that is more, we cater to the aspiring cybersecurity professional, but we also have our own wonderful database that is rich with a lot of analysts, your engineers, your architects, your consultants. So we don't only focus on paving the way for the newcomer, but also we already have, through relationships in the network, we already have cybersecurity professionals.
But you also mentioned that you do have some partnerships going with some of these companies as well.
Right.
And that was just one of the partnerships. You actually are working with a lot of different groups. And one thing that really perked my interest is when we think about this industry, sadly, we always picture the guy sitting in the basement doing his thing, whatever it is. And that's not necessarily the truth either, because women are very good at this industry, and you actually are making a concerted effort to try and bring more women into it. Is that correct?
Yes, I have a soft spot for women, being an entrepreneur and starting my business and having a desire to, I have a developed cybersecurity passion, and there are a lot of women who do want to get into the industry, and there's a place for them as well. And so I partner alongside them and get them connected as well.
Do you find that there are a lot of women that want to get in, or do we have to do a better job on convincing them that this is an industry that they can do? Do they have a lot of natural desire to do it, or is that something that we need to work on creating more of a desire for them?
I have found, and so have my colleagues, and through organizations and talking to a ton of people, there is definitely a natural desire, but what my goal is, and for Bolt, is to welcome more women and really open up the door and the avenue. Let them know that it's your industry also.
How long of a ramp are we talking about as far as I come to you and I think this is something that I'd like to do. I have somewhat of an aptitude for it. How long does it take me to go from this portion of our relationship to actually getting possibly placed within a company, or getting it, at least getting a foothold in it?
It really depends where you start. So it could take anywhere from a few months to a year, 2 years. It depends where you want to specialize. So that there's so many different jobs and pathways. We don't want to rush it. We don't want to paint a picture that it's that easy. It does take time and an investment. And when chaos is around you as a cybersecurity professional, we've got to be prepared. And so it does take time to learn the industry.
Are there openings? Are there job placements that don't require maybe that high level of sophistication? So if I'm at the beginning stages of my journey, Are there any on-the-job training type opportunities? Do companies hire people that have that opportunity going for them?
Right. Yes. Yes. Some do. Some do, and some already want the
seasoned professional?
Seasoned professional, yes. And that's where Bolt comes in. But yes, we do have opportunities for every level right now.
As far as the seasoned professional, I would assume at this point that you're probably working with people both locally and on a national level. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot more locally right now, but I work in Florida, California. It's a nationwide. I'm not limited.
Gotcha.
Bolt is not limited.
All right. Well, I want to learn more about Bolt resources, so we're going to take a short break. We're going to get a word from some of our sponsors, and then when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more with Jessie about Bolt resources. It's actually how she fits into this equation between the company and the applicant. We'll be back in just a minute.
My American dream is to help you stay healthy and energized so you can live your American dream.
Our American dream is equipping future generations of American dreamers.
My American dream is to protect my community so they can live their American dream.
My American dream is to bring you some spice and flavor to your life.
Our American dream is ensuring what's most valuable to you.
Our American dream is creating opportunities for healthcare providers so they can have their American dreams.
My American dream is serving our business community and advocating for all of your American dreams.
Business runs on technology, and human beings are creatures of habit. Unfortunately, not all our habits are good. Technology, when it works, is supposed to make our lives easier, creating routines that allow us to protect customer data, track our progress, forecast the future, communicate better, and move much faster. So, you need technology solutions that work when you're not working, or simply not paying attention. Smart technology solutions, making the complicated uncomplicated.
What does it mean to devote your life to the truth? Does it mean investigating communist subversion here in America? Does it mean exposing the deadly fentanyl crisis in the Midwest? Or spending late nights and covering deep government corruption? Because at a time when America's traditional values are under attack, it's the responsibility of righteous journalists to uphold truth and tradition.
A polished look says a lot about you. In under 3 seconds, that first impression can open and close doors. Japrive has the brands you love to wear. Style & Company, Pistola, Aiden, Vince Camuto, and more. 165 labels with fit that flatters. Japrive.com. Japrive ships from Farmers Branch, Texas. Ask us about local DFW fashion shows that bring Japrive right to you. Upscale fashion doesn't have to be expensive, and you don't have to dig through racks of clothes that end up damaged and missing buttons from being tried on over and over and over again. Japrive.com is your answer to fine clothing in casual, career, and formal wear. Make a name for yourself. Do it in style. Japrive. Japrive.com. Name brand apparel without the department store prices.
Hi, and welcome back. Today, my guest is Jessie Bolton, the founder and CEO of Bolt Resources. And when we left, we were getting ready to start a little bit more in depth with Bolt, and I'm going to kind of get her right there in the beginning. So, Jessie, I'm an applicant, and I've just come in. I've responded to you, and I really think this is a career for me, and we're getting started. How does that go? What's that going to sound like?
It's going to sound like, because I treat them like family and friends. It's more, what have you been doing? Okay, what makes you want to get into cybersecurity?
I've had a background in IT a little bit. I've worked with some people in IT. Is that enough for this industry?
Absolutely, but let's zero in. Where have you worked before? What have you done? What are you passionate about? What excites you about the industry?
So if I'm excited about...
And if they don't know, it's okay.
Yeah, is that it? Because I don't know,
Yeah,
right? And I don't know what I don't know.
And that's
so
a lot.
If I don't have a direction, I don't know what my major is going to be. I'm sorry. It's the first year. I'm a freshman, so help me out.
That's all right. And nowadays, it's not all about getting your degree. So oftentimes I'll follow groups and kind of spy on them. And a common question, just thousands of questions on the same thing, is how do I need to get my degree or do I need to get certifications? And so if someone's calling me, I'm asking them, I'm trying to make them comfortable, but also talk about branding. It has a lot to do with where are you already in your career? Are you... Now, us IT folks in cybersecurity can be a little introverted, right? And so I think that is a big challenge, is getting out there. And so I'll start with their LinkedIn profile, what groups are they a part of already, and that's where the conversation really starts flowing. Just making them aware of all the big support groups in cyber alone that are available to them, and starting to build their brand and get out there and get connected. Blogs, podcasts to follow, news channels, and set them, we take time to really set a plan out, an initial plan, and then self-assessment.
Can you help me to craft my profile, as it were, onto the world? You mentioned the LinkedIn page. Mm-hmm. Is there ways that I can make myself, be more appealing than maybe the way I've structured at this point? Things that make me seem more well-rounded or maybe pointed in a certain direction or another?
Absolutely. I think we all can get, can be a little bit better and a little bit more polished in some areas. And that's what I coach them, and I hold their hand through the process. And it has a lot to do with just having someone to support them, because they don't know where necessarily to go. And even job boards, just what job boards to go to. Of course, LinkedIn, but Facebook, there's a lot of opportunity there. And nonprofits, ISC Square's one that I'm a part of. They have a chapter meeting every month. Showing up is a big part of life. And you're going to be successful if you just ask questions, and just showing up is half of it. And I will show up with them at some of the events, and it's just cluing them in and bringing them into the circle and introducing them as well to part of my network.
So when people come to you, what step are they usually in this process? Have they tried to find something possibly on their own for a period of time, and now they're kind of frustrated and they're not getting that traction? Is that why they come in?
Yes, but I've had recently a director of IT come in and say, how do I get into cybersecurity? And I thought, well, I can tell you, but you're halfway there. You're way ahead. So I told him, well, gosh, at this point, let's get you connected and get your CISSP and let me know.
Which is?
It's a certification that ISC Square will actually, there's all these abbreviations.
Yeah, all the acronyms in the industry.
Yes. But he called me a few months later, said, all right, I got it, now what? And so it's now, connecting them. It's happening in small stages. I don't want to overwhelm anyone that calls, because everyone's going to be in different stages. Some are security analysts currently, and they're just wanting to really push and grow. So how do I grow? What do you know that I don't know? And so.
But I would think that that's the, on the level of sophistication, mm-hmm. those individuals are much higher on the ladder than the individual that is literally sitting in his living room today and watching mm-hmm. our episode thinking, I really always wanted to get into that industry, but I didn't think I had enough either education or I didn't have an aptitude for it.
Right.
And I think we're going to need to bring those people in bigger numbers to fill this huge gap, 3.5 to 4 million jobs. We're going to have to, we can't just take from our existing IT in order to fill those. No. But that's really, again, I hate to say it, but that's back where Bolt is placing itself, right? You actually are trying to work with that big end of the funnel and trying to get more people involved in the industry.
So what we'll also do on the on the other side, so I talk to a lot of small businesses, small to mid-sizes, and not everyone. I'm not trying to grow and just try to save everything and everyone, but I am wanting to make a difference, and we're very passionate about that. But we offer various packages, and part of what makes us valuable is being able to offer various levels of candidates that either have gone through self-assessment, a graded self-assessment, have been thoroughly interviewed, graded, and at all levels, right? And so that way they can see, I can show them what's already there, from analyst to engineer, architect, and consultant level. But that's more on the other side. And meanwhile, I'm welcoming candidates all the time. I'm always open. I'm always building that pipeline, if you will, and creating relationships. And that's where the key is building the relationship, not just the initial phone call. I do not like that. I like to really stay connected I can't possibly stay connected with everyone, but in order to fill these gaps, I don't want to rush through it like just a normal recruiting process, but I want to take time to get to know the candidates to placement with the company, but also after. And that's another big deal we're doing. We stay connected.
One of the reasons I like your take on the industry, and really your take on this whole recruiting process. Mm-hmm. So many in this industry, from the recruiting side I'm talking about now, right. They really only want to work with the people that are already up at a certain point, and they're just getting to the next rung on the ladder, right? They already have a great job. They just want a greater job. They want a better job than they already are. And that really is a very narrow frame, but that's what the recruiting industry shoots for anyway. Almost 90% of most recruiters, almost 90% of the people they work with already have a job.
Right.
They're not taking the people that are unemployed or that are having a struggle to get the job.
Right.
And one thing that Bolt does is you actually work with that element, which is really, I'm really amazed that you've taken that path, but it's a good one. And I think that the companies that you work with seem to recognize that, and they want to work with you more as well. So.
And I think the reason why is because they recognize employee retention is a big deal. Keeping the employee.
In fact, you're getting into an area that I really want to talk to a little bit more. So we're going to take another quick break, talk to our sponsors one more time, and we'll be back in just a second with Jessie Bolton.
My American dream is to help you stay healthy and energized so you can live your American dream.
Our American dream is equipping future generations of American dreamers.
My American dream is to protect my community so they can live their American dream.
My American dream is to bring you some spice and flavor to your life.
Our American dream is ensuring what's most valuable to you.
Our American dream is creating opportunities for healthcare providers so they can have their American dreams.
My American dream is serving our business community and advocating for all of your American dreams.
Business runs on technology, and human beings are creatures of habit. Unfortunately, not all our habits are good. Technology, when it works, is supposed to make our lives easier, creating routines that allow us to protect customer data, track our progress, forecast the future, communicate better, and move much faster. So, you need technology solutions that work when you're not working, or simply not paying attention. Smart technology solutions, making the complicated uncomplicated.
Hi, and welcome back. We've been talking with Jessie Bolton of Bolt Resources about the cybersecurity industry and how you can get into it. Jessie, when we left, you had just started to talk about retention. As a business, I always hate the word coach, but it's as a consultant in some respects. Most businesses have a very difficult time wrapping their head around the fact that retention is a lot less expensive than recruiting, trying to get people. So How do we help retention on a business?
I think it's a shared. They like to. So as a recruiting agency, a lot of agencies will guarantee the candidate for 90 days, right? And then what after the 90 days?
I think that's the retention in most industries anymore. It's 90 days.
Right. And it's getting smaller and smaller as college graduates come into the workforce, and the expectations all around in the workforce, no matter what industry, is changing. And so that's where the self-assessments come in, both technical and behavioral, right? Because we want to know what motivates them, what they really care about. If you know that when you hire the person, then you will be able to, I guess, not adapt, but accommodate in a certain area. But there's a fine line, right?
No, and I think that's a very important. What you just said actually is a very important thing, both for both sides of the equation, right?
Right.
I think a lot of the retention, this is my personal opinion, but I think a lot of the retention issue that we have is poor expectations set on both sides of the equation, right? So if you have a company that thinks they're hiring the next Einstein,
they might be.
and you have the applicant who's far from the next Einstein, but somehow they
we
get
all
together,
have an Einstein in us.
Yeah, they get together in this spot. The company's not going to be happy. The recruit's not going to be happy because if they're a good person, they want to live up to the expectations.
Right.
Or if the job is stifling and it really doesn't fulfill their needs that they want to try and do, then I think it's that whole mismatching in the beginning that creates a poor retention problem. So one of the things, again, that I like about Bolt is that you actually talk to both sides a lot and you prepare both for those expectations on both sides.
Right. I really tried to keep the relationship going. I mean, with the business and the decision makers, right? We have good relationships going, but I really started Bolt Resources to cater to what is good for the professional. I don't try to sell an opportunity to them as much as I want to know what matters to them. And if we all know what to expect from each other, then it's more likely, like a relationship, it's more likely to last and be mutually beneficial. But it's, I believe, rather than making it recruiting the agency's responsibility, it's a shared responsibility afterward. It doesn't mean that I have to handhold the whole time, but quarterly checking in, and that's offered in our packages and such. But it is more, it's after, it's post-hire. What are we doing? What are they going to do to retain their employee? What's the perks? What are they doing to train or foster a good environment?
I also like something that you'd said in our first segment today, and you'd mentioned personal branding. I thought that was kind of a cool description of what the applicant needs to think of themselves. They need to think of themselves in that manner, don't they?
Right. It's not for social media is everywhere. It's not for everyone. We all work differently, and especially if we're introverted. I'm an introvert extrovert, but we have to recognize that the pictures we take and what we're doing on social media really does matter. And if you know you want to be, whether it's cybersecurity, IT, finance, accounting, how are you going to position yourself right now? As I've told my daughters, what you do today, make sure your future self will thank you. And so it's projecting who you're going to step into, and sometimes you have to step into whomever, whatever that is. And that's what we help them do. But how to portray that, how to, not necessarily the highlight reel like on Facebook, but really adopting that mentality.
And you can actually educate people to help, depending on what end their goal is. You can actually help them to craft that message so that it appeals to those individuals that are going to be seeing that. Is that right?
Right. And for example, it just might be a selfie on LinkedIn with, the bathroom in the background versus, the car versus a professional background. We're not always thinking of that. I know I wasn't thinking of that when I started my LinkedIn profile. So it's just little things that not necessarily, it's not a bad thing, but just teaching them how to shift their perspective and brand themselves and
Are we working against some very harsh realities on the corporate side that are doing the hiring? Are these people somewhat what do you find them as in general? Are they like a typical HR? They're just looking for a certain thing as personality types, or are they really more open to the types of applicants because their industry is stereotyped so badly, right? Because those people are typically, as you said, they're more introverted, right? They're not as outgoing. I can just imagine what some of those interviews might be like with some of those individuals. So how can we help them? Do you do interview training? Do you?
Interview training, coaching, and again, it's not, I wouldn't sleep at night if it was me doing all this. It's a team of partners and just people that have helped me grow in my career, and I'm sharing what I have and the resources I have, and there's a ton of them. But I think that it's more, it's an adjustment. It's an adjustment in your thinking. When you come onto Bolt Resources, if you come here, there has to be a high standard already in the way you're presenting yourself. So it's not, and I say this because we have to be careful here. Yes, HR is HR, but they're doing their job. Every company has a different culture, offers a different environment, and usually if I am placing a candidate or a professional with that company, they're going to be a match culturally. And it all goes back to what is best. What does Michael or Bob or Susie, what do they want? What is their personality type?
Okay, so along those lines, we're going to have to wrap things up.
Yes.
So you've convinced me. I'm the applicant. How do I find you? What's the next step for me? I
would say info at boltresources.net, and Facebook. We're not on there as much, but I'm happy to connect there. Bolt Resources on Facebook. I don't know if it's slash, but we'll worry about that later. I'm not used to being asked this. I apologize. People find me somehow, but it's mainly on LinkedIn, my personal profile or Bolt Resources business page.
Well, Jessie, it's been a pleasure today. Thanks for coming on. Thank you for tuning in today and learning more about this industry. It's a wonderful industry, and really it has a lot of room for both men, women, young, old. There are really no really constrictions to any of it. So do yourself a favor. If you have any aspirations in this way, contact Jessie Bolton. She'll help you get started. Again, thanks for joining me today on Biz Points, and we will see you on the next episode.
To be a guest or request sponsorship information, contact the Kortkamp Group at 972-824-8001 today. Production and programming information requests for the OBBM network should be directed to Offbeat Business Media by calling 214-714-0495 or send your request to info@offbeatbusiness.com. Biz Points TV, podcast, and radio show are produced by Offbeat Business Media for the OBBM network. Unauthorized use of logos, audio, video, or reproduction is strictly prohibited.